Drugs and alcohol. Hendrix entered a small club in Clarksville, Tennessee, in July 1962, drawn in by live music. He stopped for a drink and ended up spending most of the $400 that he had saved during his time in the Army. "I went in this jazz joint and had a drink," he explained. "I liked it and I stayed. People tell me I get foolish, good-natured sometimes. Anyway, I guess I felt real benevolent that day. I must have been handing out bills to anyone that asked me. I came out of that place with $16 left." 275. Alcohol eventually became the scourge of his existence, driving him to fits of pique, even rare bursts of atypical physical violence. 276. Used LSD when he met Linda Keith in late 1966. Shapiro and Glebek, however, assert that Hendrix used it in June 1967 at the earliest while attending the Monterey Pop Festival. 278. According to Hendrix biographer Charles Cross, the subject of drugs came up one evening in 1966 at Keith's New York apartment. One of Keith's friends offered Hendrix acid, a street name for LSD, but Hendrix asked for LSD instead, showing what Cross describes as his naivete and his complete inexperience with psychedelics. 279. Before that, Hendrix had only sporadically used drugs, including cannabis, hashish, amphetamines, and occasionally cocaine. 279. After 1967, he regularly used cannabis, hashish, LSD, and amphetamines, particularly while touring. 280. According to Cross, few stars were as closely associated with the drug culture as Jimi. 281. Drug abuse and violence. When Hendrix drank to excess or mixed drugs with alcohol, often he became angry and violent. 282. His friend Herbie Worthington said Hendrix simply turned into a bastard when he drank. 283. According to friend Sharon Lawrence, liquor set off a bottled-up anger, a destructive fury he almost never displayed otherwise. 284. In January 1968, the Experience traveled to Sweden to start a one-week tour of Europe. During the early morning hours of the first day, Hendrix got into a drunken brawl in the Hotel Opalen in Gothenburg, smashing a plate glass window and injuring his right hand, for which he received medical treatment. 283. The incident culminated in his arrest and release, pending a court appearance that resulted in a large fine. 285. In 1969, Hendrix rented a house in Benedict Canyon, California, that was burglarized. Later, while under the influence of drugs and alcohol, he accused his friend Paul Caruso of the theft, threw punches and stones at him, and chased him away from his house. 286. A few days later, Hendrix hit his girlfriend, Carmen Barrero, above her eye with a vodka bottle during a drunken, jealous rage, and gave her a cut that necessitated stitches. 283. Canadian drug charges and trial. Hendrix was passing through customs at Toronto International Airport on May 3, 1969, when authorities found a small amount of heroin and hashish in his luggage, and charged him with drug possession. 287. He was released on $10,000 bail, and was required to return on May 5 for an arraignment hearing. 288. The incident proved stressful for Hendrix, and it weighed heavily on his mind during the 7 months leading up to his December 1969 trial. 287 For the Crown to prove possession, they had to show that Hendrix knew that the drugs were there. 289 During the jury trial, he testified that a fan had given him a vial of what he thought was legal medication which he put in his bag. 290 He was acquitted of the charges. 291 Mitchell and Redding later revealed that everyone had been warned about a planned drug bust the day before flying to Toronto. Both men also stated that they believed that the drugs had been planted in Hendrix's bag without his knowledge. 292